It's a stealth coupled with the assassination style gameplay that's the problem. And we can't get away from the assassination style gameplay because the other type of value Sombra could provide is too oppressive in 5v5 with one less player on the field. So we end up in a situation where we can't make an interesting version of Sombra simply because we've made this shit fucking format.
Overwatch Classic drop, right on the money.
Why is it question? Why? Is it because 5v5 is bad? Is it because it's a 6v6 game mode so you can have utility in the kit? The unfortunate history of Sombra. I don't like this guy. I haven't had too much contact with them apart from in the Sombra debate where I asked him specifically if he wants to have fake internet beef and he said no, which was very sad. I was like, Questron, I have different opinions than you. Do you want to have some beef? And he was like, no, I don't want to have beef. And I you know what? It's like if you're at a bar and somebody offers you to buy you a pint with their round, right? It's kind of rude to refuse, isn't it? Let's go the unfortunate history of Sombra.
At the end of the current season, we'll be coming up on half a year of hero bans being in the game, and to be direct about it, the Sombra community has never been more dead.
Taken out behind the barn.
Daylight, I dare say.
Are you allowed to put a gun in the first 15 seconds of your video without YouTube killing it? Oh, maybe I'll put more guns in my videos.
Every single morning to 2 different type of push notifications from YouTube on my phone. It's comments from either strangers telling me what new type of terrible person I am for playing a specific hero in a video game, berating me for it, and saying they're happy about her being banned.
If you are a fan of this current iteration of Sombra, you are a bad person and you should feel bad.
So often, or it's someone saying they can't play Sombra, but they live vicariously through me. There's a non-zero chance that me saying this in the opening interrupted someone writing the exact thing I described.
No, I just said it. It's fine. I said it. You're a bad person. You should feel bad. The Sombra mains Reddit was a fun read during the first weeks of the ban patch. God. And now it basically doesn't exist because nobody can play the character, so they have no community. Excellent job, hero bans. Thank you for that.
If you're the first one,
we could have just fixed the hero, but instead, I guess we just won't. There's a Sombra change coming. There's a rework coming at some point. I don't know. They mentioned it about, I think, 2 months ago-ish. Now it was quite a while ago, so it should be relatively soon by my Blizzard calendar, which means nothing.
What the hell, man? But this video isn't about that. It's just a symptom of a larger problem, one that Blizzard has just constantly been doubling down on recently for what I can see as no reason. And now, not even Sombra players want to play Sombra anymore. I hate to say it, but this is starting to include me. And I'm getting extremely anxious about the upcoming rework for reasons I'll point out later in the video. But first, we have to be on the same page. The main problem has always stemmed from this. People just haven't been playing Sombra entirely correctly. And I know that...
Sombra's always been a hard character to get the gameplay loop of. I think the main problem is that in 5v5, you cannot have a strategist controllers type DPS because they necessarily is a bigger portion of the team and will not contribute as much to the overall murdering potential of the team. So they kind of had to make Sombra more of a DPS-y focused hero that shits out more damage and assassinates more. But the trouble is that because you've increased the amount of the character in the game, a lot more people are interacting with the sharp stuff if the Sombra is in the game, because there's one less person to kind of buffer them. So support's kind of like just got the end of the stick where they were constantly interacting with Sombra whenever Sombra is around, and therefore Sombra just feels overtly dominating every single game she's in, and people hate that shit.
Sounds weird, but the hero design of Sombra has always been appealing for that exact reason. Not that there's a right or wrong, unlike Cassidy where you miss your shot or you hit it and the feedback is direct, but that Sombra has hundreds of possible actions you can tackle a single scenario with that all work good enough with only
no, I'm gonna disagree entirely with you. I think they stripped the majority of possible actions that Sombra had. This is the fantasy, to be clear. Like, this is how I would quote the fantasy of Sombra in the previous state, right? I said on the Sombra town hall, the Sombra that I liked was a Sombra where I had to coach somebody and I had to say, okay, you have 6 different options. They're all about the same, but one of them's going to be good, right? You can go for a hack. You can try and bait resources. You can go aggressively greedy for ult charge. You can go aggressively greedy for an assassination. You can do all of these different things. You can do point pressure, like all of these different, like layered ideas of different things that are slightly different in the way that you'd operate. And you have to make a clear choice between them. Now, the answer is, do I bait attention or do I try to go for a kill for the most part? Or do I try and hack somebody? And that's kind of like it in terms of the texture. most of the rest of the texture has just been lost from the game over time. The fact that hack is just an aggressive tool instead of a defensive or an augmentation tool kind of just removed that texture. But again, we can't have hack in 5v5 because hack completely destroyed the game, so that kind of had to go the way of the dodo. The fact that virus exists in general obviously leads Sombra a lot more towards assassinating type plays. The fact that translocator is just this instant TP out instead of something you have to play around with, that basically had to speed up the gameplay loop with Sombra significantly in order to translate her into a more DPS focused role. The Sombra has been killed because all DPS need to do heavy damage, Toast. You're entirely right.
One of them being the best. Sometimes it's hacking someone, sometimes it's dragging an Ana's attention away the moment the Reinhardt charge.
Well, it's only hacking someone if shooting them after is your objective, in which case you're trying to murder them. I'll be honest, the amount of times where the hack on someone actually is the best thing to do just for the hack's sake and not because you're going to murder them afterwards is almost zero. You do not catch cooldowns with Sombra, you just lock people out, apart from tanks obviously, and that's just another example of tank hate. The hack is currently at a duration where a tank can get instantly deleted if they get hacked at the wrong time, but it's not impactful enough, apart from the extra damage, on any other character on the enemy team for the most part.
Sometimes it's about baiting a Reinhardt shatter. The
Shut up. Nobody at any reasonable rank baits Reinhardt shatters with Sombra. You don't stand in front of Reinhardt on purpose in order to bait a shatter. You just dodge the shatter if it's coming at you for the most part, if you end up there. Nobody's ever going to angle towards main in order to be able to bait it. That's just not a thing we're going to do. No way.
The most important thing here is that Sombra's value as a DPS is not inherently tied to getting a kill. And I'll show you. In Overwatch 1, there were...
No, it's tied to kills or pressure through distraction. But it is tied to kills. Screw off. This version of Sombra is the most... And you say it's not tied to kills. Sure, there's other things you can do. But this is the most tied to kills that Sombra's kit has ever been, right? More tied to kills.
3 main iterations of Sombra. The first version of Sombra was simple. Hack locked you out of using E, Shift, and Q. That's it. No damage boost, no visibility through walls, and no Q that did more damage on impact that then did faster damage over time when hit on a hack target. Translocator was something you threw somewhere, and when pressing the ability again, would
surely you can get better footage than this, though. It's got to be better footage than this out there.
You to that place. It had a 15-second window before it would break, but how you used it was entirely up to you. It was not something that resembled an ender pearl, and it did not make you go invisible because visibility was its own ability. You could use the translocator with it, but more often this ability was used between fights as a speed boost sprint type ability. The moment a team fight broke out, it was really just about the translocator and EMP. EMP back then did not do damage. Well,
and once a team out, no. You also had to angle for a hack and other things like that, right? Like it was hack, kill, an ult charge build for EMP, distraction through being able to draw attention. Like there was a lot more things. It wasn't just, oh well, do you murder somebody or do you do EMP, right? Those are the only things to play for. What do you mean, like once a team fight broke out, it was just those things?
Shield or shield HP. Though I did play this version of Sombra quite a bit, I lived in the Caribbean with internet speeds up to a staggering, stuttering 100th of a megabyte. Megabit? I don't know the difference. I simply played her for the love of the game and did not watch any guides or tutorials or whatnot. I did not hack health packs, and I placed translocators extremely aggressively. Later on, I found out that almost everyone places their translocator on a health pack and just goes back and forth for full matches at a time. I probably thought that was just the lamest thing ever and kept doing what at the time was suboptimal gameplay. But I also found out—
What do you mean you did what was suboptimal gameplay? Just put your translocator really deep and never went to health packs? What?
Was that everyone hacks everyone. Always. And I mean always. You'd see an Ana throw her sleep dart and her biotic nade, each of which having cooldowns longer than hack would lock you out for, and then still proceed to hack her.
Yeah, I mean, people are really stupid. Sure.
Back then still let him wall climb. Lucia would still heal and wall ride, and Pharah could still just hover. But that's just how Sombra was played. I was good enough at the game to know what I was doing.
No, it wasn't how Sombra was played. It was how Sombra was played at the very low level, to be quite honest. And that still kind of is how Sombra is played, though, isn't it? Because if people can get a free hack, they hack anyway, regardless of their intention to actually kill people, right? Like, this hasn't changed. It's just you're saying low rank players don't know how to play the video game. And sure, Sombra is more complicated than other characters, but still.
But I didn't care because it's not like I was going to the Overwatch League on my internet speeds. I just like the translocator that much. So now we're 2 years later. In 2018, Sombra had her first set of major changes. Health packs no longer charged her ultimate. Hack now interrupted passive abilities like wall climb, wall ride, Pharah and Mercy's hovering, and Lucio's, everything. Her gun spread was made a little tighter, and the translocator had a 20-second window instead of 15. What this means is that Sombra is pushed in the direction of being a duelist just a little bit more, with EMPs not being the end goal in her kit. This would mark the first, but definitely not
I mean, EMP is not the end goal in a kit. EMP was just very core to the cycle. You say the end goal. I mean, like, yeah, sure. Like, quite a lot of the time it was played in the end goal with a Diva ferrying ult charge to health packs in order to charge her, right? That was how she played at the high level in the competitive ranks. But realistically, there was more than enough value to get without just farming EMP.
Last instance of Blizzard choosing to exchange their utility for lethality.
Yeah, at the highest level, obviously at the highest level, but if we're talking about ladder, it's not really the end goal of a kit in a general sense. It's only the end goal once you optimize for health packs, right?
Now keep in mind, this is not inherently a bad thing. If you overshoot on it though, well, we'll get to that later. Regardless, this version was my absolute favorite. I don't even remember the popular characters at the time or what meta was dominant. I remember pouring 300 hours of Sombra in a single season on this version. This got me good, man. Everything afterwards essentially...
It was such a good patch. Like, it was so good. This was the October 2020 patch, by the way. Actually, I think she might have gone more DPS focused before October 2020, because this was earlier.
It's just me chasing the high that this kit had. And
this kit was the Sombra kit, in my opinion.
Alone. This was the period in time where Sombra brought in the most of its enjoyers in a community sense. Before this point, she was just the bad throw pick to stay away from, but now she found her footing. What this looked like in the game was that you'd place a translocator on a spot where you think the fight is going to happen if you'd engage from a specific angle. One Piece's future sight hockey type beat. You wouldn't go in for a specific target, but the moment you're visible, you have to make the most of your engagement. And you could do this because of how dang fast you zoomed while invisible. In a fight, you'd be omnipresent, but not very dangerous. You'd constantly be attacking from different angles over and over again because of the restrictions in her stealth and translocator being on timers. Swapping between targets over and over again, having complete control over the piece that way. In a video I made years ago, I compared it to the yellow flash, also from Naruto. But for those who don't know, this guy invented the ninja version of what is literally just the translocator. His little kunai have markers that let
20 filler episodes for one end of the season episode.
Him teleport between them. He himself is not that fast of a guy, but because he can teleport across the field and back constantly in a flash, every character in the show call him the fastest shinobi. But he himself is not that fast. This is where me, having played her incorrectly the entire time till that point, got lucky. I got to see how cool this version of her was the moment
it's actually a really good analogy for Sombra, despite the Naruto reference that it's laden with. The fact that you can be everywhere at once, but you're actually very slow just because you have the ability to reposition with it. Now, I think he's entirely right about this. Now you're basically everywhere because you're basically everywhere and you're so fast you can go anywhere. You're not tied to any spot. You don't really have to make choices. You just kind of like go where's good.
Dropped. I didn't need convincing, and I certainly did not need adjusting. Her kit's centered not around EMP.
Yeah, I don't normally do VODs on demand, but I've got time
not
today.
around hack, but the translocator. I mean, hack was still 6 seconds, but you didn't have infinite time to wait for the perfect moment to hack to get maximum value. Hack was more of a vulture type ability, where if the opportunity to hack presented itself, you'd hack. It wasn't the primary thought to have in the same extent it is now.
No. It was a choice to be made that you could not make, right? Like that's the main point. You could choose to hack, you could choose not to hack, you could choose to play for hack, you could choose to ignore hack in your kit and it be an extra part, right? You didn't have to play off of the hack. Because it was such a powerful tool that it didn't need to be centered on the kit. That was the point, right?
Wasn't the reason you would position where you'd position because of the restrictions placed on translocator and stealth. It was about maximizing your presence and uptime in a fight. I cannot stress this enough. They had something special here. She was what we called at the time bussin'. This lasted for 5
We don't call it that.
months. That's it. The same amount of time we are currently at with how long it's been since hero bans were added to Overwatch 2 is how long this version of Sombra existed for. My favorite version. In my opinion, the best version. I do not think this version of Sombra was given enough time to be adjusted to properly say it was not a good foundation to build on top of.
Agreed entirely.
Small problem though, this was the optimal way to play. What this means is pretty much that people did not do this. Sombra had been in the game for 2 years.
Did people not do this? I don't think that's right, man. I don't think that's correct. I mean, people play TPing their health packs still because they were stupid, but like, like, we always had the problem of people being TPing Asia away with the translocator. Yeah, that was always an issue, but like, we didn't need to do anything as a result of that. I mean, the community was just catching up over time, and they were almost there.
Now, and all everyone did that entire time was place a translocator on a health pack, went in on someone to do 100 damage for ult charge while taking 100 damage, and gain some more ult charge by having a half.
Yeah, sure, people are stupid. Like, you shouldn't balance around that.
Heal that up. A dive didn't actually directly result in anything most of the time. Killing someone wasn't a factor, like at all, and that habit persisted. So to those who were doing this style of gameplay, to them, Sombra got nerfed. They did the same thing, just with 50% less ult charge being generated. Effectively, every 15 seconds or so, you'd have a Sombra show up, do 50 damage to one person, then teleport to the nearest health pack till they have EMP. They just do that over and over and over again. Blizzard noted that this was problematic, which leads us to the third and pretty much the final version of Sombra in Overwatch 1. The translocator, which was previously 20 seconds, was now permanent. Stealth, which was previously 6 seconds, was now also permanent. To me, on this day, with it being not even half a year later, the 24th of July 2018 was where we got sent down the dark timeline. I wasn't a content creator at the time, I just had this gut feeling that I, to this day, still adamantly stand by, and now that I'm a content creator, have a solid and consistent track record with my stance regarding Sombra having her entire kit go from maximizing uptime and presence in a brawl, went flipped. By design, it doubled down on people's bad habits.
It guarantees that people have the uptime regardless.
Imagine Widowmaker, but everyone that picks up Widowmaker for some reason uses the SMG way more than the sniper scope, and then nerfing the sniper scope and buffing the SMG for it. Obviously, this isn't the best analogy, but that's kind of vaguely what happened. The idea is that Blizzard ran on the logic that, well, if the people are doing this anyway, instead of implement mechanisms to insinuate what they're doing is suboptimal. Now it became about waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for hours to hack someone and kill them type loop. If there was a chance you wouldn't live, you just wait more. Any hindrance at all meant that you just wait it out till you can do something. Maybe throw in a go on them in 3, 2, 1 now, so that you can summon a friendly Winston to help you out. Then when you get the kill, teleport back to your handy dandy translocator and over and over and over.
If you don't have them timed, then people will put them in Narnia. That's just what happens.
Over and over again.
You have to limit it.
The further you strayed from that gameplay loop, the more often you died, and dying is, well, dying is bad. Or is it? I say this because on paper, yeah, right? But at the same time, objectively, doing more things in a single fight for a longer period of time in said fight, using more abilities in said fight, does mean you have a higher potential chance of influencing things to make it a winning fight. But
It's very simple. If you have more engagement in the fight is more engaging. That's literally it. Longer contact time, more chance of doing stuff, more activity in your kit is better. You shouldn't say, oh, people are going to Narnia, let's let people go to Narnia. It hasn't actually improved the gameplay loop in any way. It's just allowed people to lean into poor styles of gaming. It sucks, man.
Sometimes you die. So the only thing you have to do is be good enough to pass above the minimum threshold of skill to keep yourself alive while dancing around the battlefield. But how would you do that if the kit by design is insinuating you not do that? You don't take those chances. You only have the one translocator, and the choice for which way to use it being safer is like kind of obvious. And see, that is where it went wrong. Why place a translocator around the corner where the enemy that you're chasing would walk to when instead it can be safe on a health pack far away from danger? Why use a translocator to EMP with when instead it can be safe on a health pack far away from danger? Why use it to pressure a soldier away from their positioning on high ground when instead it can be safe?
I think the important part here was that it didn't really matter that much though, because the actual gameplay loop of Sombra when you played them properly was still the same. Right? Because Question was playing it properly, which is to be as active as possible and not put the teleport to close. I remember so much coaching from Jane back in the day of just telling people not to do this or to be active in fights and other things like that, showing it off, exemplifying exactly why it was good and what people could do extra if they actually put the TP closer. The fact is, playing the game in the proper way was always better, and people would have tended towards that over time. I think the Sombra changes are better back then or now. I think that limiting the TP duration, forcing people to play it more aggressively, is pretty obvious. Like you shouldn't enable people to just AFK in stealth in the enemy team's backline, waiting for the perfect timing. You used to have a choice made so that you can actually hit the backline at the correct timing, and it should be a choice made on the prediction of what the enemy team's going to do in the next 15 seconds. It's hard, man. you think the Sombra changes are better back then or now? I think Sombra's awful now. I think Sombra's a terrible character. I think she's been pushed so far into the assassination bot style character that she's basically unrecognizable. There's no decisions to make on the character, and before the character was basically, I don't know, defined by the decisions.
On a health pack, far away from danger. You get the gist. And that's not...
Yeah, make all her abilities boring and simple so they can't be screwed up. It's not an improvement. Yeah, you're entirely right, Random.
just the translocator. Stealth being permanent means that it facilitates you literally doing nothing. You couldn't hack or shoot while invisible. In a very literal way, the more you use stealth, the less you did per game. The goal, even when stealth was on a timer, was to use it as efficiently as humanly possible.
Oh, definitely.
The less you use it, the better, but you absolutely had to use it.
Yeah, and the timer incentivized you to unstealth as often as possible in order to be able to use it. Yeah, 100%. So good. What if hack was a different, lesser debuff, like cooldown increase or ground flyer, so it's more specific uses? I think the problem there is pretty obvious. You're just undiversifying the design space of Overwatch, right? Like that's a cool thing you could create, but I like this. Why can't we make this work? Why can't we build the hero around making this work instead of just abandoning it? Oh, because we're swapping to 5v5, we have to completely change what the character does, because realistically that mode is so much less permissive for weird and wacky character design. They all just have to be generalist slop. Yeah, okay, yeah.
In her kit, in giving you the opportunity to, like the yellow...
Did you see the Sombra Malga meta where you don't stealth at all? You just shoot Malga and farm EMP every fight? Excellent.
The Flash in the same fight re-entered the same engagement from a different angle without the enemy being able to know how. So, since I already know what the first question is going to be, the difference with Tracer is that Tracer stays in the fight in totality unless she entirely leaves. You never actually lose track of her in your mental bird's eye view of the fight. Sombra can, for a split moment, completely array war the more often you can pull this off in one fight. You wouldn't know which new angle she translocated to. Like, I get that I'm a complete and absolute nerd for how in-depth I'm going over this Sombra guy here, but this is really important because people keep messing with the recipe while not knowing why the food was good to begin with. So now it just became an invisible nuke. If the Sombra unstealthed, it was too late. They spent the last 30 minutes stalking you and your behavioral patterns and waiting for you to tab out to change your Spotify song.
And then do you know what we did? We just leaned into it, and we kept leaning and we kept leaning until the character was terrible.
And then they went for you. And that felt BS. And honestly, that is BS. So this here is where me saying permanent invisibility is the problem came from. I know what she's like without it. So how does Blizzard address that?
But the answer is permanent invis is fine. Right, it's fine as long as you don't lean into the assassinating style of Sombra. It's not better, but it's not going to kill the character, right? It's better to have, like, limited invisibility that you have to make a decision on how to use. I don't know, it's so hard to me. Sombra's just an IQ check on the supports. It's not good to be IQ checking every single person below plat on their ability to react to something appearing behind you in your blind spot. Controller players literally cannot turn around fast enough. Their max sense doesn't let them. It's not good, man.
Where stealth facilitates you doing nothing, they double down on the bad habit again. They let you have...
I like permanent invis as a unique design. Yes, it'll be annoying to play against. Yeah, well, you could say permanent invis is this cool out-of-the-box design space thing, right? Like, it's over here on the design space, and that's a cool thing. We want to preserve that. But really, like, by going from 15 seconds to going to permanent, what do you really gain in terms of the game feel of Sombra? Right? What do you really gain? The only thing you really gain is the ability to exist in Narnia permanently and perfectly time yourself without choice. You're actually removing choice by increasing the amount of stuff on the character. So I'd say that why would we? Because this is a significantly worse version we're creating just through... And like, is permanent invis more interesting than pretty generous invisibility timers? Nah, not really.
Aqua stealth now. They want you using more of it for longer periods of time because now you get to have value in the meanwhile while waiting for that perfect moment once an hour. And now, because so many people are just waiting all day constantly out of habit, Sombra having a bad win rate, and I mean...
It's not out of habit, it's because it's a good thing to do.
Genuinely the lowest win rate in Overwatch history throughout its lifetime. The moment they do end up doing something, they need it to be worth more. So this is what can only be described as sunk cost fallacy kicked in. They double down. Hack now became mandatory in that it had...
I miss the versatility that came from deciding whether to use the play translocator or kill it and recommit with a close range throw. Yeah, 100% agreed entirely. Agreed entirely that. Yeah, and I think non-permanent stealth, permanent translocator would have been fine. I think time translocator, permanent stealth would have been fine, but I don't think this kind of like mixy, permanent stealth time translocator wouldn't have been fine because you still just use it to escape instantly. At least it would put a bit of pressure on you. You'd have to make the translocator slower. I guess that would work if it was still thrown in the way that it is in the old patch, where it's a bit slower than the current one, where it's literally, as he says, an end orb.
A damage amplifying mechanic. The entire kit pivoted to instead force the Sombra player to earn the right to be able to achieve damage output after unstealthing. You could...
The problem with having 15-second invisibility is it adds stress and makes it harder to keep track of what my plans are, because it's another thing to think about. That's just for me, though. I agree. Sombra always was a character with a high skill floor. Always was. And I think that's fine, right? Like, I don't think that's too problematic in general. They a couple of times decreased her spread, increased her point damage. I think those were fine changes to make it so that low-ranked players could get value just by standing on main. I think the trouble is that, as Questron says, they incentivize people to learn a gameplay loop of putting on Narnia.
Now, from out of absolutely nowhere, after theoretically infinite amount of waiting, within a second do more damage than Point Blank Bastion with headshots. Let me tell you, this was pure insanity. Luckily, Blizzard within a week made Sombra completely unplayable. They made her entire kit be based around doing the dive out of stealth, putting all your eggs in one basket to hack someone and burst them down, and then nerf.
What if we make the kit based on the worst part of the kit?
That exact thing
okay,
they want
guys.
Sombra players to
all right,
do.
is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing?
Historic low win rate across Overwatch 1 and 2 for 3 seasons. And that was only dethroned because Lifeweaver had a 0.2% lower win rate. In both scenarios, Sombra players get called slurs. Then, rumors of a rework were made. I was asked my opinion and I made videos. I constantly reiterated on my stream that if stealth stays permanent, that this would not be the last rework. Stealth being the center point of her kit is the one inherently flawed idea. It puts too much control and agency in the hands of Sombra.
No, it's not necessarily the stealth. It doesn't have to be the stealth. It's a stealth coupled with the assassination style gameplay that's the problem. And we can't get away from the assassination style gameplay because the other type of value Sombra could provide is too oppressive in 5v5 with one less player on the field. So we end up in a situation where we can't make an interesting version of Sombra simply because we've made this shit fucking format. Man, it's so bad.
Thing that happens out of nowhere with no consistent way to see coming whatsoever that actually has an impact on you will ever feel fair. So either you unstealth out of nowhere and achieve nothing because you have really weak numbers, or you achieve something and it feels BS. There is no...
And by the way, obviously, Sombra's hack should have been reduced to about 3.5 seconds at the most in the previous version, obviously. And while we're at it, why don't we just fix the damn interaction with Ball in his ball form? Why is that in the video game? Who thought this was a good idea? It's just a hard-coded problem that you can't... Everyone agrees that this should be... How did... Why? Why? Because Ball needs No! Just why does it exist?
Between. The core of her kit is about putting your eggs in one singular basket. If you don't achieve something, then odds are you just didn't wait long enough for a better opportunity to arise. This is not good gameplay, and this is definitely not the Sombra that Sombra players like me like to play. So time came to pass, as it tends to do, and the sequel to Sunk Cost Fallacy dropped. The sunkest of costs of fallacies. Not only was stealth permanent, it was self-activating after a couple of seconds, and a passive. The solution to the problem, according to Blizzard, was not to knock down the radioactive load-bearing pillar that was...
Just make them generalist slop. Don't worry, guys. It's just... Don't worry, guys. It will just make them generalist slop, and we'll pour it into the trough, the rest of slop, and you can eat your slop. Just consume it, pigs.
Stealth to rebuild from that, but double down on the concept that a Sombra player had to earn the right to get a kill out of nowhere without prior warning at any point. Keep in mind, this isn't even something we Sombra players want to begin with. Blizzard invited me and some other content creators, including Fitzy here, and we all said some variation of please don't do this. I'm no conspiracy theorist, but Fitzy didn't play for almost the entirety of Season 1 and 2 of Overwatch 2, and barely touched it. I don't even blame him.
You killed the content creators by not listening to them, then you killed the community by putting hero bans in the game. Man. But nobody's gonna say it. The quiet part out loud. You can't fix it. Well, you can fix it a little bit, don't get me wrong, but you can't fix it entirely because we have one tank in the game, and the hack will always necessarily hate more on that tank because they are a bigger portion of the amount of power on the team.
Isn't Sombra. In this version of Sombra, the ability slot that used to be stealth now was home to an ability called Virus. I often joke that this ability essentially serves as a a captcha you have to complete beforehand in order to be allowed to do damage. It's a little projectile you throw that at the time did 10 damage.
To be fair, capture you have to complete before doing damage is quite a funny description.
90 damage over time. If the target was hacked, the impact damage would be a whopping 20,
Wow.
and it would speed up the 90 damage over time significantly.
Yeah.
I will say something good. With it came the removal of damage boost on hacked targets. To me, this kinda cleverly reintroduced the decision. Do you either A, hack someone out of stealth, or B, virus?
Yeah, you have a little choice there. I'm fine with the little choice, but ultimately the choice is still, do I kill this person or do I kill this person? Right? It's not really like, sure, you can choose your approach to killing them. There's a bit of texture there. There's a bit of interesting stuff there, but you are just choosing whether you kill them or not, right?
Someone out of stealth. Sacrifice the opportunity to do damage and no utility, or bacon and no bacon. Wait, no, or the inverse. Independent from everything else, I genuinely still think that conceptually, that's a cool thing to play around. What I don't like, and still to this day I consider extremely disappointing, is that Blizzard was in the mindset of how to keep stealth permanent at all costs, to such an extent that they turned the Tresicator into a dang Minecraft Ender Pearl. Stealth was still permanent. The Tresicator no longer had any real synergy with stealth, and the more you think about it, has no reason to be what it is. It's like the worst of both worlds for each other. With all this effort spent trying to make permanent stealth work,
Come on, Questron, say the quiet part. Come on, get to. We get it. I get it. But say the quiet part. If you don't say the quiet part, nothing ever changes.
Inadvertently ship of Theseus themselves from a boat into
Why
making
did
a
it
car.
happen?
But then people started getting better at her, and doing out of nowhere became the dominant option. Not doing damage was inherently a worse option because what's a hack to at the very least guaranteed ult charge and at best a free elim. But again, doing all that setup work, waiting for hours to do nothing is inherently bad balance. It has to lead to something. Blizzard's solution, however, wasn't to break that pesky load-bearing pillar that was stealth just yet. The solution instead was just to make it harder and more tedious. Virus did less damage over time, with the exchange being that impact damage was higher. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but the difference went from 20 damage to 70 on hack targets. Where before the choice was between
they just made it so you always have to hack them.
Or doing damage with virus, it became you needing to do both, adding more steps to all chains. You'd be in stealth,
and then you guarantee the kill if they hit the hack and the virus. Like, that's just what it is. Nobody can react to that. You're already basically dead. Even if you deflect on Genji or anything else like that, you still die to it the majority of the time unless you pump your entire kit into it. And that just fucking sucks, man. That sucks so bad to play against. So get on your fucking ban list. Get on it. Don't ever get off it.
Then shoot them for a
Sombra's ban
guaranteed
percentage?
kill. Rinse and repeat. Same formula.
You know the only reason why Sombra doesn't get banned nowadays is because the Sombra community has been so decimated by bans that none of them exist anymore, so people don't bother to ban it. That's the only reason she skips a ban. If people started playing that shit, she'd be straight back on the list.
Same button sequence.
She still sees a lot, even though there's no Sombra players.
Stealth permanent. Permanent stealth that was used to spawn camp. Wait 3 minutes for a Sigma Flux to immediately have it interrupt. To wait for a
Use W from the community. It's literally saying, Blizzard, this is terrible. Like, what are you doing?
Scope in after following them for 20 minutes. All the toxic traits you associate with Sombra players. All that pressure, putting so many band-aid measures on every part of her kit to make sure that stealth is to be used in specifically that way, only to then, finally, put it on a timer. They reintroduced damage amplification on hacked targets on top of it too. I consider this the final step in the exchange utility for lethality mindset. Sombra is Overwatch's version of...
But why can't we have utility, Questron? Why can't we have it? Please explain to me.
Ship of Theseus. All she has is lethality now. Is this Sombra? I don't know. But now we're in the modern era. Perks. Perks conceptually, I absolutely love. I do mean that sincerely. They're great.
Oh, that's an L take, man.
But because they were so new, we didn't know how they pan out. Season 18 has so many good and cool ones. Like, aside some minor number adjustments here and there and whatever, again,
content creator take.
These minor perks, all of them really are great. Well, having said that, Sombra really got the short end of the stick here too, though. In her original batch of perks, a minor perk decreased the virus cooldown by a couple seconds if it was the reason it killed or broke anything.
So you don't
no
shoot
one picked this
question
one.
mark?
The other minor perk is Control
Such a weird
Alt
one.
Escape, which is the
They kind of
Spider-Man
just screwed up
holding
the
back
first round.
perk.
You could tell they were really crunching the perk releases, and they had a load of things in there that weren't good for the game.
Exemplifies exactly what I want her direction to be taken to. Then There's her old major perks called White Hat and Stack Overflow, which both
Oh yeah, the good old guys. We gave you support, Sombra. Stop complaining. Oh, it's really terrible. What are you on about? We gave you it already. Shut up. Shut up. What you don't want to sacrifice all of your aggressive utility in order to heal someone for 100 health? Shut up! What, you stupid? You've already had support, Sombra. Stop complaining.
We actively nerfed Sombra. It was quite common to just not pick a major perk at all. Kuro got to teleport twice. Sombra had to pick between nerfs. And now, in Season 18, Sombra has a different minor perk, where they again double down on stealth, where you can increase stealth by hacking someone or something. And 2 new...
I don't know. I don't know. These Sombra perks are pretty bad.
Major perks. 1 innocent.
Yeah, I think Virus actually probably is the worst ability in the game in terms of field to play against. I think it's worse than Lamp. I think it's worse than Suzu. I think it's worse than Life Grip. In terms of field to play against, I think the only reason why people don't think of it as a higher tier is simply because the other characters get played more often, right?
That's if someone that's hacked gets virus and spreads to nearby enemies, which is cool, but I mean, a kit designed to specifically dive one isolated target to get a perk.
Like, sure, I mean, but it's just the same thing, right? It's just the same thing. It's just AoE damage. It's basically ult farming at that point, right? It's cool, don't get me wrong. It's really cool in 6v6. I like it as an option in 6v6, but
like this,
it's still the same gameplay loop. It's still based around hack.
Conceptually,
hack and then virus, hack and then virus, hack and then virus.
It's just confusing to me. The other new one lets health packs overheal Sombra to 275 HP if they're hacked, which seems
more assassination potential because you have a higher health before you have to TP out.
Innocent enough, but it's just another chain in the checklist of things you have to do before you're allowed to engage. And if not, it's pushing you to be least.
And it makes her engages more lethal. Remember that.
To a health pack, just like the good old days that nobody liked. Either direction is doubling down on an issue here, both stemming from stealth. Why are we so adamant on making stealth so unbelievably important?
It's so interesting that he focuses so much on stealth and so little on the added lethality, right? Like, stealth is a removable part of this kit that doesn't have to be changed in order for the character to be better, but the lethality I guess it's because 5v5 demands a lethality, and 5v5, like, maybe he's thinking that if the stealth was changed, you can just keep the rest of the kit, but I think it all has to go.
7 perks, and not a single one that had anything to do with the translocator whatsoever. Why? I used to entirely chalk this up to nostalgia. Maybe I was just more blissfully ignorant to the times and in the meta or something, but no. Overwatch Classic drop. Ignoring all the Doomfist players for some reason, completely ruining the mode in general, the version of Sombra was the one where she gained health back ult charge.
Oh,
but that
it
part
was,
bugged, so she was just absolutely terrible numbers-wise. Regardless though, damn, the gameplay loop itself was right on the money.
It's so funny when Overwatch Classic is actually significantly better than a live game. Why is it question? Why? Is it because 5v5 is bad? Is it because it's a 6v6 game mode so you can have utility in the kit?
That version could be modernized while keeping that type of stealth translocator loop central. That would be genuinely the best freaking thing ever. Sombra, for most of her lifetime, has been victim to extremely volatile balanced directions. I genuinely have no idea what the developers themselves think is central.
Well, we'll find out what they want to do next time they completely overhaul the character, right? And then reduce, like, completely remove the reason why people play it. And then we'll wait until a new community gets formed around this new type of Sombra, right? And then we'll remove that type of Sombra, and it's just this cycle of just hemorrhaging players for the Sombra player base. You just have this kind of like, we have this hole in our bucket. We just keep stabbing more holes in.
I know what I want. I know what the Sombra players in my vicinity want. I know the Sombra community right now is 100th the size it used to be.
Yes, Classic is dire, but that's only because it's the original Classic. He's talking about October patch Classic.
Because of the changes over time. But I truly have no gauge on what direction they want to push Sombra into next, and for who? We've gotten to the point where they've actively been working on yet another Sombra.
Sombra news live from my editor, who's currently at Gamescom, who converse with Aaron. This is not bait. Sombra news direct from Aaron. They're definitely trying to rework her. They've had many iterations so far, but none of them have felt Sombra-like. They want this to be the complete and final rework, so they're still in the testing phases. That means it's going to be another 6 months, doesn't it? That's not good news.
For a rework behind the scenes. My editors went to Gamescom and spoke to Aaron while he was there to promote Season 18's launch. And he confirmed they're working
Plural. It is more than one editor. Someone get me 4 editors. I want 4.
Sombra rework, but haven't quite found out what to do exactly. Over the course of the last couple months, I've been giving feedback to the developers in private channels as in-depth as I can. This whole video started from one feedback message that I just kept adding commas to and instead turned into a script for a video. I gave feedback regarding the new overheal perk and that I thought it was the wrong direction for Sombra and that I am concerned for Sombra's direction. That leashing Sombra in this way is again pushing her in the opposite direction further. Then not long later, Spilo held an interview with one of the developers who had this to say.
I got to play a little bit with this yesterday. I still had to be a little bit on a leash, of course, but it allowed me to duel a little bit more effectively when I was using health packs effectively.
Yeah, and that's the idea of it. The decay is at a pretty intentional rate of it's like 5 seconds, I think, before it starts decaying. We don't want Sombra to just be like, I hacked a health pack in my spawn and then I'm coming out in your backline with 50 overhealth, right? Like overhealth is such a valuable thing. You know, Sombra coming out with 275 health is going to be the difference maker in that duel. So as you said, it's trying to leash Sombra players and
Do we consider Custer a proper dev? He's being paid like one, so
leash them to a route, and it's going to reward understanding the map, packing the right health packs.
No, I don't mind Custer. He was a smug bastard during the 6v6 stuff, though.
Moving around the map, and then
What are you paying your editors? Do you eat peanuts?
being able to get full utility out of this perk.
Makes sense. More
Oh, shit, I have to pay people. Fuck.
of a duelist perk, maybe isolated targets rather than the virus spread, which is maybe better versus a clump of targets.
Yeah.
I am concerned. I've asked for interviews. I've asked them to say anything at all. Like, I love this
Well,
character.
they're not going to do anything right now because they're developing a new Sombra. And the trouble is, if they have interviews with people, then you can. Well, I told you to do the opposite them when the new Sombra comes out, and it's inevitably something that's not that great.
Character, man. I've been trying to build my entire career
To need to be held in court for Anna's perks. We need a new Nuremberg.
around this one hero in this one video game. But I'm seriously starting to get concerned regarding her future. It's already been 5 months of hero bans. It's not like my hopes are sky high here. Please, Blizzard, at the very least, listen to the few Sombra players still crazy enough to stick it through.
No, don't listen to the people that are crazy enough to stick it through. They like the crap. You poured it into a slop, and they're the ones eating it. Don't listen to them at all. Listen to the players that like the old Sombra and actually know why. Question is a bit of that, but mainly it's just eating the slop. Don't eat the slop. Just leave it. Right? The generalist stuff. You don't need it. And the players that actually like this style are the degenerates of the world. They deserve to be banned.
This part of the video I tacked on after writing the end already.
I've got crossed legs for
take it as
you.
a post-credit scene. I'm not actually
great
qualified
posture.
to say directly what should happen, so I'm about to list out what would be my suggestion to try out. So warning, this is my opinion. I'm not a professional game designer, developer, or any of the sort. What I would want is to double down on her uptime in a fight by having stealth be on a timer at a way faster walking speed, 70-80%. Going into stealth would happen really fast, 200 milliseconds or something. But going out of stealth, either from the duration running out or self-interrupting, takes almost a full second, maybe even more, with the caveat being that Translocator always instantly de-stealths you to dissuade it from being used on health packs while also enabling it as a smoke bomb mechanic in the middle of a fight to re-engage at a different angle in that very same fight. As a bonus, it also means that Sombra players that aren't doing it properly are punished by having the enemy team see them go into stealth after translocating sloppily as a larger punishment window of opportunity. From that point on, everything else in her kit, balance-wise, would come down to whatever can facilitate that to be allowed to exist in the game in its current state, like what was done with permanent stealth.
It still has to be an assassination style gameplay, because if you make it so that Sombra cannot hack a Genji or a Tracer on an angle and win that duel through hacking them, Sombra is necessarily significantly worse. Like, sure, you've got the smoke bomb style thing, but you're always going to lose that duel at any medium or high rank. Therefore, Sombra needs the permanent stealth to be able to get into her angles in order to be able to do anything. And if you make it so that they have to TP in, or they have to exist on an angle, then re-engage with TP, then all you've done is make it so that, like, mid-fight you can try for an assassination, which still feels bad to people for the most part. Like, the problem is the lethality, and we can't change the lethality. Yeah, it actually is quite Psylocke-like, isn't it?
With a thumb on the scale for keeping hacks simply to just interrupt abilities and no extra bonus effects. And
there you go. Yeah. It needs to be a utility tool. It doesn't need the bonus effects. It doesn't need the bonus effects. But if it is an interesting utility tool in any way, shape, or form, it's always going to hate more on the tanks. It's just always gonna happen.
No, do not make it a skill shot. It needs to be simple.
Yeah, piss off, Spylo. Stop making everything. I don't want to have to aim everything. Stop it. Stop it. Stop making my game an FPS game. I didn't sign up for an FPS game. I signed up for a game where I could play Reinhardt and left-click people.
Simple to interrupt, simple to do, with not a large amount of impact. To keep it strictly utility. Making it a skill shot means that it's hard
Yeah, but yeah, you keep it strictly utility. All you're gonna do is chain hack the
to
Doomfist.
do, which means that if you're good at it, it'd be hard to interrupt, and
man.
also means that it has to have a large amount of impact. Having said everything in this video so far, to really hammer it home, Lip quit her bluntly, publicly, and immediately after her rework. Fitzy is a variety streamer now. Ruben Sargasm is hanging out with VTubers, and Sombra Wizard just quit. All I'm left with now is people that don't play Sombra expressing vindication that Sombra players are being bullied on my own platform.
Yeah,
Anyone
damn
else
right.
is using my platform to be heard
My
about
man,
their
good
expressed
stuff.
disappointment in not being able to play Sombra.
Bully these people. They're still playing this terrible hero.
I have nobody to make videos.
Just because it's themed around a translocator, you're still playing the hero, despite the fact that the character is awful, right? This character they've made is awful, but you're still playing, you're still eating your slop, and they're never gonna do anything until you stop eating the slops.
I cannot do my job.
Keep advocating for the character, keep talking about it, but do not eat the slop.
If this next rework doesn't actually tangibly improve things for Sombra players as well as people playing against Sombra
Degenerates.
simultaneously, I am forced to quit her. I want to like her. I want to make her my
Why? Why? There's nothing in this kit left that you enjoy. You don't enjoy playing this character. I don't understand why you still keep. Is it just because she's beautiful? Is that? It's just you go like what?
So, no pressure, but don't mess this next rework up.
Oh.